All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Cover Band Central podcast number 215 for Tuesday, May 14th, 2024. I'm Steve Witchell in New
Tony
Orleans.
B coming to you from New Jersey. What's happening?
What's up?
What's up,
Man,
my
I'm
brother?
tired. I'm tired right now.
Tired is a state of mind, Steve. Change your perspective.
It's a state of my body, is
Mm.
what it is. I went to the gym a couple hours ago and I'm a little wiped out.
Yes, quest for fitness. How's that
Yeah,
journey coming?
it's good. I'm doing the keto Um, diet. It's not really a diet. It's the keto plan. It's eating not sugar foods. No sugar foods, no carbs, or very
Mm.
low in the way
Mm.
of carbs. And it's good. I'm down, 15 pounds probably.
Nice.
Yeah.
Looking good. Looking dapper.
Thank you. Got another 20 to go, I'm gonna say. But
You're on the descent, though. You're on your way, Steve.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know it, like I mean, I'm taking the right steps. I'm getting on the scale every morning to see what it is, but it's hard to when you see yourself every day, it's hard to really kind of see the difference. But then you go and you see people that you haven't seen in a little bit, maybe, and they say, "Whoa!" So that kind of happened this weekend. I was playing, um, playing my normal gig at bandstand, and there's this couple that comes every once in a while to see us play, and they're from Texas, and they come into New Orleans every once in a while, and they always come see us. And the guy is like looking at me on stage, and he's going like this with his arm, and he's pointing at me, and I'm like, what is he talking about? Like, why is he doing that? And then I got off stage at some
He's
point,
like,
and
you were fat, Steve. Now you're fit, Steve.
something, yeah. I mean, I got off stage, and the girl, she's very friendly. She always gives me a hug and stuff. And she's like, "You look great." And the guy said something like that, like, "Wow, you been exercising?" And I'm like, "Really? You can tell already?" Like, I just, last week I went to the gym twice, and I hadn't gone in a month, and like, really, just from that, you can tell the
Well,
difference.
it's just
So
from dropping the weight. The 15 pounds is what everybody sees.
I guess, yeah. And even Jason, my drummer, said that, like, and Sonny, who's my advisor and my mentor
Said your
in
ass
this.
looks skinnier from where he was sitting behind you.
Jason, no, Jason said like my midsection. He said it looks, better.
Mm.
And
Svelte.
yeah, and Sonny said a similar thing. So that kind of gave me like, oh, okay, this is working. All right, so I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. If this is working, people are actually noticing. So yeah, that felt good.
And maybe you'll be an example, Steve, to the rest of the men in your band to jump on board and get fit.
I think that's highly unlikely,
Mm.
but you never know. Nobody nobody gets
Maybe
motivated by
maybe
anything I
Sonny
do.
maybe Sonny can convince them when he's
Yeah,
mentoring you. He can say, "Look at the results of Steve's efforts. You must join along immediately."
it never. No, nothing. No, there's nothing that I do that influences anybody else.
Well,
Um,
Steve, you only have to worry about yourself, luckily. So
that is
it
true.
doesn't matter what anyone else is doing, right? It just matters what you're doing.
And I don't worry about myself. I don't use that
You
word,
tend
worry.
tend to yourself.
Tend to myself. That's much better.
Nurture yourself.
Yeah. So, I guess we got a few things to talk about. You said you wanted to catch me up on your gig with your new singer.
Yeah, a couple gigs in now. New singer in the band's great. He's settled in. He's a hell of a harp player, man. He can definitely blow harp.
Okay, that's cool.
And he's got great vocals, and he's finding. He had to learn a whole bunch of songs, so he's navigating his way through that. But doing a great job. So very excited for what the future holds with that. 5 more gigs under our belt before like summer concert series start, and we're already 2 gigs in, and the second gig was like night and day even from the first one, which was great. you know. And the other exciting news is that we now have a full-time sound man. So we're
Oh,
no longer doing sound for ourselves. We have a
okay.
traveling sixth member of the band, so to speak, who's now our sound guru. So he brings the PA, full PA, 2 subs, 2 mains, sets it all up. I mic all the drums, give him a sub mix of my stuff, make it easier for him, and then he gives us the app on our phone for our monitor mixes.
Very nice.
And we all have in-ears now, so it's silent stage, and, it's killer. So, like, already first 2 gigs out of the gate with the new singer and the new sound man come out swinging, and feedback's been super positive as far as, like, wow, band crystal clear, can hear all the vocals, effects on everything, um, certain songs have certain nuances. The guys, changing the vocal effect, adding more reverb here, put a doubler on it. Um, drum solo, pumping up all the drums, pushing all the bottom out real fat, make it real big, and then band comes back in again, pulls it back down again. So really exciting to have another layer now of professional sound, which is like a step up, the ladder. Like as you do sound for yourself, and you can do a really good job,
Mhm.
which we've been doing, but it doesn't compare to having a dedicated guy out front who's constantly tending to the mix and making sure that everything is good as the room changes and whatnot. So
Right.
that's very exciting to have that now. So I believe through the end of the year, we have him for every gig that is not like a town gig or a festival that has their own sound, you
Right.
know, or backline.
That's
So,
great.
probably like 15 gigs with him coming up, which is really, really great.
Yeah. I mean, I'm jealous about that because I can't remember the last time I played a gig where there was a sound man tending to the board the entire show.
I know, and tending to the vocal to where if, like, I'm doing jump and I do the scream at the beginning, he puts, like, a big hankin' delay on it with a huge echo, so it's like, "Wah," like,
Right.
just stuff like that, and just really the leads come, boost the guitar a little bit on bass, like, good times, bad times, will pump the bass up on those solos, put some of the mids in so it's more John Paul Jonesy, just stuff like that, so very cool.
Nice. Yeah. My situation is the sound man comes, sets us up, and leaves, and that's it. And
But
he'll pop in every once in a while and see if everything's okay, but that's about
But
it.
that's typically what we would do too, is someone would go out front, you would do a sound check to a song where everyone's playing on and try to get an even mix, and it's good. But then, over the course of the night, different songs might have different keyboard patches. Jimmy's keyboard patch for like subdivisions or Abacab is way different than like Long Way Home or Everyone Wants to Rule the World.
Right.
Two different sounds, two different types of dynamics. So it's nice to have that flexibility for him to be able to mix the band out front and, again, having a knowledgeable sound guy that knows how to EQ the band too, so there's no feedback, everything's crisp. It's just it's a real pleasure, real pleasure. So I'm super, super stoked and excited for, coming into the summer season of all these concerts we're gonna be playing to be in, all, full speed ahead. New singer, sound man. It's just very exciting.
Yeah, that's great. Very good. I'm happy for you.
But bunch of new songs too. Yeah, thanks, man, so bunch of new songs too, because new guy coming in has a bunch of tunes that he brought with him and other songs that we wanted to do. So, fun, good stuff.
Right on. I went to see Judas Priest the other night.
Yeah, you told me you were going. How
Yes,
was it?
I went. It was in Mobile at the Civic Center. Um, it was good. I mean, the band was great, and it was kind of sad in a way because it was, an arena, and it wasn't like a big like Brendan Byrne arena with 20,000 seats. It was more like a 10,000 seater maybe,
Right.
and not even half capacity, maybe 30% capacity in there.
Really? For
Yeah.
Priest?
Well, it was in Alabama.
Yeah, I know,
So
but still,
yeah, and I was like, is there gonna be anybody in Alabama going to see Judas Priest? I didn't think that that would be, like, really their market, and, there were. I went and met my brother, and, it was, like, downtown Mobile. And we went and got some dinner, and there were, a bunch of people walking around with Priest shirts or metal
Yep.
type of shirts that they're a Priest fan. And then we couldn't get a seat at one place, and we had to go to another place and wait, and so, I'm like, "Oh, okay, so there's people here." And, we went into the arena just before the opening band was starting, and they were called Sabaton, and they're from Sweden, metal band from Sweden. And
Yeah.
I checked out one of their songs the night before just to see what they're about, and I was like, "All right, this is too much for me." They're very epic, a lot of big keyboards and choir sounding vocals, metal type of thing, and it was a little too much. And
Okay.
we watched a couple of the songs, and then we went out, and my brother smokes, so we just went out to the smoking area, hung out, and then came back in for Priest. But Priest was great. A lot of the songs that I would expect, a couple that I were surprises, like and Rob Halford, the singer,
Stand up for Exciter!
they didn't do Exciter, no, but
No.
they did do Victim of Changes, and which is super high for him. But I don't even know how old Halford is. He's got to be
How
70, in
about
his 70s.
Electric Eye? Did they do Electric Eye?
They did do that, yeah. Um, but Halford still can hit those notes, and I was like, holy crazy, because he looks old. He looks in his 70s. Dressed cool, dressed like the metal
Yeah, but he's
god,
definitely older gentleman now.
right? But what I mean, I noticed again, as I said last month when I went to see Jeff Tate, which was in a club, no amps on stage, same deal. And I guess
Mhm.
that's the norm now for the bands, the touring bands, is no amps on stage.
Hey, listen,
And
and like I said, we're doing it with this new sound guy, and what a huge difference just not having monitor clutter, sonic clutter
right,
in the room with the mix. It's like really big difference.
yeah, and I guess it's been the norm for a while, but I just you know, maybe it hadn't been the norm for the lower level tours, but the higher level tours, yeah. But again, the sound beautiful, crystal clear, could hear everything. It was loud for
But
sure.
live drums, right? Because the
Live drums,
last time you
yeah.
said it was electronic kit, but I think Scott Travis is probably playing with Priest, and I know he plays a big double bass, true kit, true double bass kit.
Yeah, it was all acoustic drums, yeah, for sure. Um, but what I noticed, a couple things. Well, speaking of the drums, how well tuned they were, and how good they sounded. The drums sounded fantastic. I was like,
Mm,
"Oh, man," like, especially when he went down to the low toms.
yeah.
Um, they just uh, I mean, just perfectly tuned, and just monster sound with the drums. Like, amazing. I was like, "Wow, that's just killer." And the other thing was with Halford, and I'm sure this has been the norm for him for a long time too, but I just happened to notice that there, like, a ton of reverb and delay on his
Oh, mega effects on his voice because he's
voice.
not belting it out at the volume and capacity that he used to. He can hit the notes, but he's probably singing a much quieter falsetto than he did 20 years ago,
Yeah, and he'll
you know?
hit that note and it'll carry on, but that's the effects helping him out.
Yeah.
As long as he hits it,
Yep.
he doesn't have to keep holding it and stuff. Although he would a little bit, but it was still really enhanced by the delay and the reverb in the vocal effects. And done brilliantly. I mean, fantastic. I mean, there's not a soul in that place that would be like, "Oh, that sounds like shit."
Oh,
It
no,
sounded,
Priest is, A plus, class touring act. Forget it.
yeah. And it was cool. I hadn't been to an arena show in quite a while. Um, and what other thing I noticed too, and maybe it was just because it wasn't packed, it wasn't sold out or anything, but it was very lax with, like, security and stuff like that, like walking around. And now it's too, you know, back in the old days, we had tickets, actual physical tickets, and we had to
Mhm.
carry our ticket stub and show our ticket stub to the person at the top of the row and say,
Sure.
"Yeah, I'm sitting down here." And it's not that anymore. It's all electronic. It's on your phone, and once you're in, nobody asks you anything. Nobody bothers you.
So you're able to walk around, like, sit wherever you wanted.
Basically, yeah. I mean, we
Cool.
did. We went and found our seats, which were pretty good seats. They were like lower level on the side, first row. Um, and but even on the floor, there were plenty of seats, and you could just there's nobody. checking tickets anywhere. Nowhere. You could just get up and walk to wherever you wanted to and sit down there, and nobody cared. And again, there were so many empty seats anyway, so it didn't really matter.
Sure.
But so different to me than it was back in the day going to an arena show.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, you weren't going anywhere but where your seat was unless you could sneak down.
yeah, which we would do,
Yeah.
but everybody was extremely well behaved too, and for a metal show,
Mm.
that's somewhat surprising. They somebody was talking about it recently on Howard, about people bringing M80s to the arenas and
Oh, yeah,
how
when I
they
saw Iron
right.
Maiden, they threw M80 at Bruce Dickinson on stage, and it blew up, and he dropped the mic and dove into the crowd. And like went after the guy, and the band was riffing and stuff like that. And this was right after they played Brendan Byrne, and they lit the cars on fire, and they like ripped the seats out of the arenas, and they had like the we saw them at both those shows. So we were not in the parking lot when that happened. We had already left the arena, but they lit the cars on fire, and it was this big
I
thing. And
remember
then
that show, yeah.
yeah, and then they played at we saw them at the Garden in the in the city, and then it was Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, and he's mid sentence, see the rhyme of the ancient, ba boom, M80 goes off, maybe like 20 feet over Bruce Dickinson's head, and he's like, "You fucking asshole!" and just drops the mic and just dives off the stage, and the band is like diddle 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 dip dip diddle diddle, and started
Right,
just riffing
right.
on the thing for a while, and he's gone for like a couple of minutes, Steve Harris is jamming out and stuff, and then Bruce Dickinson came back on again and put his hand up, and it was like daddle doodle down, and the whole band just stopped, and he was like, "Let me tell you people something." He's like, "You got fucking assholes like this throwing M80s at me on stage, thinking that that's cool." He's like, "And you got a bunch of other assholes lighting cars on fire." He's like, "Just keep acting like that." And, he's like, "Because we're banned from Brendan Byrne Arena now." He's like, "And then just keep acting like that and we'll be banned from Madison Square Garden." He's like, "And pretty soon we won't be able to play anywhere." He's like, "So if you see some fucking asshole next to you, like cutting up a seat or lighting an M80, he's like, do me a favor." He's like, "Punch him in the face." He's like, "Knock him out." He's
Right,
like, "If you're a Maiden fan," he's like, "stand up for Maiden's rights." He's like, "Don't be an asshole." And he put his hand up and it was like, "Better do it now." Like right back in again, just like
right, right,
right on cue. It's great. But yeah, what a
wow,
like powerful message. The whole arena was dead silent and he was just standing there like lecturing everybody. Like, "You
right,
guys think it's cool to be like, beating people up and cutting up chairs with knives and destroying properties. Like, we get charged for that." He's like, "We have to pay for that. Our insurance rider, like for when we play the gig, has to cover those damages." He's like, "So you're costing us money. And then we can't tour and then you can't see us. So if you're a fan, like cut the shit."
right, wow.
Yeah,
I
it
can't
was like
believe that people would do that, it's so dangerous. M80s are, like, really
well, that's
dangerous.
also 20 years ago. Yeah, I don't think you're bringing I think if you brought M80s in now, the show would be stopped and everyone would be, patted down and dogs would come in and like it wouldn't, they wouldn't just carry on like a little lecture and go about your business. It would be what made way more serious, that you brought an explosive device into a public arena like that.
Right, yeah. I'm surprised, like, and I think about it, like, we used to smoke cigarettes and smoke joints in arenas, like smoking. It's so weird, like,
Yeah,
how we used to.
smoking butts, and it was like a whole smoke fest because my buddy used to have a laser pointer, it was like high powered
Yeah,
laser
yeah, yeah.
pointers, and he had
Sure.
one that was like football fields long. So when you went to like Brendan Byrne Arena or in a smaller venue like that, he could be like in the upper deck putting like, a laser on the forehead of the singer,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? But, as the years went on, he did that a bunch of times. And then, like you said, Smokey Arena, he puts that laser on the guy's forehead. And it's like, boop, right to his seat because you could see it in the fog of the smoke.
Right.
And, busted, ejected, laser
Oh,
confiscated.
there you go, okay.
The guy's not with us. Don't know nothing about him. Told him to put it away. Take him.
That's the thing, like Dickinson jumping into the crowd. How do you know for sure who threw the M80? Because you're not gonna know until it goes off that somebody threw an M80. So how are you knowing, like, among all those people? Like, there was Sebast
Maybe his spider senses told him who threw it. Maybe he saw the the lit, because think about an M80, right? You're throwing an M80, you light it, you're throwing it immediately. It's not like you're way in the back and you're gonna wind up and get a good shot and, let it fly. That thing's
Right.
gonna be like, "Psst," and you're gonna be chucking it. So, I think it
Right.
was fairly close to, like, on the floor. He just went off the stage onto the floor and started going in that direction.
Right. I remember, like, famously, there was, Sebastian Bach and Skid Row, there was somebody threw a bottle up or something,
Mhm.
and and this was on film, and he, like, "Who threw that?" And he, like, starts pointing at people. He's like, "Was it you?" And then he just jumps right off the stage onto the people and starts, like, punching some dude in the face. Like, how do you know for sure that that's the guy that threw the bottle? Like, you're up there singing, you're not paying attention to
Well,
unless
then
yeah.
I don't know if you ever saw the Lamb of God documentary, but that happened to their singer where a guy was come jumping up on the stage and the bouncer shoved him, and as the guy fell off the stage, he cracked his head open and he got brain damaged, and eventually he passed away.
Oh,
And
boy.
it was like a weeks after they had left the tour, and the next time they landed in that country on that leg of the tour, as soon as the plane touched down, when they got off the plane, the lead singer was arrested and thrown in prison.
Oh,
And, like
wow.
yeah, and, like, wherever it was, Europe, in Europe somewhere, because they said, "Yeah, you shoved that guy off the stage, and and he died, and it's on video." And he had to go to court, and it was this whole big thing, and he was there for, like, a couple of years,
Wow.
and, it turned out that in the footage, you see the bouncer or the club security guy actually gets in front and ends up shoving the guy out of the way, because you see the guy has, the lead singer from Lamb of God had the mic stand and the mic in the other hand. So there's no way he could have, like, you know what I mean? The way the angle was, it looked like he did it. And he ended up getting off, but he was facing like life in prison in like some Turkish, like, work camp.
No kidding. Wow.
Hmm.
The price of fame.
Yeah, but that's not landing and being like, you're under arrest. It's like, for what? Because you killed that guy. What are you talking about? Last time when you were here a year ago,
Right.
that guy died, so now you're coming with us. Tour's
Uh,
over, you're
yeah.
arrested, you're going to jail.
Yeah. What a weird generation we have. Like, nobody in this generation would do that. Like, the younger generation now would go to a concert and start, throwing things at the band. Like,
Yeah, right, yeah, like, what's wrong with it? What the
why would you do
idiots.
that? Why would you
Yeah,
throw something at the band, especially that's dangerous, that could hurt somebody?
like an M80, yeah. That's not a good idea. Throw an M80 at the band on stage.
Yeah. I understand, like, the firecrackers in like, toss them up and they make a little sound, whatever, but you don't throw shit at the band. You're there to see the band. Why would you wanna hurt the band?
They got their own pyrotechnics, they don't need yours.
I've never had anybody throw anything at me on stage, luckily, I guess. Not that I can recall anyway. Maybe
Hey,
somebody
did Priest have any pyrotechnics, like fire or
no,
flamethrowers or anything?
no,
No?
no,
No?
nothing, nothing.
Mm,
Maybe some smoke, that's about it.
yeah.
When he comes out with the Harley for Hellbent for Leather.
Yep,
Um,
but
yeah,
no fire
crazy.
cannons.
But, so I'm going to see King's X tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, I saw them
Yeah,
back in
and
March.
but speaking of throwing things at the band, King's
Did
X has a
y
song called "Cigarettes" from
Yes, yeah,
Dog
yes,
Man,
yes, they did that.
and when they used to play it, or at least I don't know now, but when they used to play it back when it was kinda new, and they would play that, everybody would throw a
Sick.
cigarette on stage. Because the first line of the song is, "Have you gotten
Yeah,
any cigarettes? Have you got anything for me?"
yeah.
So people would do that, myself included, because I smoked back then,
Mm.
and if they had I would throw a cigarette on stage. Then you see all these friggin' cigarettes flying. Cigarettes are expensive, for one,
Yeah,
so
now
you
they're like $2 each, so I don't think you're throwing them, up
yeah,
on stage at random.
and you shouldn't smoke, boys and girls. It's bad for you. I did smoke. I don't smoke anymore. Um, but yeah, I'm going to see King's X, so I'm interested to see their setup. And King's X has always been a meat and potatoes, amps on stage.
When I saw 'em, they had amps on stage. Doug Pinnick had 2 big signature DP amps,
Right,
and Ty Tabor had all the big orange amps, like the size of a couch,
right,
big double 15 or whatever he had up there, and, they were all live like that, and then they all sang, and
yeah,
Jerry just had a monitor up on the drum riser,
yeah.
that was it, and the kit
Um,
was mic'd, but, he plays a 5 piece, so it was, pretty simple.
Yeah, and that's what I expect tomorrow. But I'm still interested to see it. But the last time I saw King's X, I believe it was the last time it was at Starland Ballroom, which is in New Jersey, which is a big room. It's a very boomy room, and they King's X was so freaking loud. It was just too loud, painfully loud. And I
Mm.
don't think I had earplugs with me. Um, and
They
I
were loud
probably
when I just saw them, so I would bring plugs.
I'm definitely gonna bring plugs, but I probably wadded up some toilet paper or something, put it in my
Mhm.
ears that day. Um, but this room they're playing, it's called Southport Music Hall, and it's a place I've played. It's not in New Orleans; it's outside of the city, but it's a place I've played a couple times, and I've been there a couple times. I don't know if I ever went there without playing. Um, I'm not sure, but it's it's considerably smaller than Starland Ballroom. It's not, it's a pretty good sized stage. Certainly good enough for a three
Well, I
piece
mean, I
band.
saw them in Newton Theater. I think it's like 6 or 800 people, like, very small venue.
Yeah, this is probably about the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I think 800 people would be probably over capacity in that
Mhm.
in this room. Um, but I'm definitely going to bring earplugs for sure. I'll bring a couple sets just in case, and I'm excited. I haven't seen them in a long time. One of my favorite bands, and a bunch of people I know are going, so be able to hang with some people.
Very
Um,
cool.
yeah, 2 live shows in a week going to see bands, which
Wow.
is
Yeah, look at
it's
you.
just it's rare for me. I don't do that. I don't go out anywhere.
And you're still gigging Friday, Saturday, Sunday this coming
Friday,
week?
Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, this week I'm doing a double on Saturday. Um, they just hired a new band for the night at Bandstand where I play. Um, there was a R&B band playing there for the last 4 or 5 months, I think, at Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, and they got the boot. And there's another band which is similar to us as far as the music is concerned. They're playing the pop rock hits basically, um, and they just started last week. And it's kind of a piecemeal band, like who's available. So far it's been the same drummer every night, and the bass player is kind of running the show, but a couple different keyboard players and a couple different singers, a couple different guitar players. But I'm going to be playing with them Saturday nights, so I'm doing double Saturday night, which is cool. It's fine by me. It's like, I don't know, I like to play.
Same
But it's
tunes, similar tunes?
similar songs. It'll be two female singers. Um, um, and one of whom I work with already often. So it'll be, as far as the material is concerned, I don't have to learn anything new or
Mm.
whatever. Um, but doing a double in the same room is great, because I don't have to break down after the first show. I can just chill out, get something to eat, whatever. And then at the end of the night, I don't have to break down again because I'll be there the next morning or the next early afternoon.
Mm.
So that's the biggest plus for me for doing the double. Is like, all right, I don't have to tear
That's
my face
easy.
out.
Yeah, it's the easy button.
Yeah. And I could use the extra bread too. So it's nice to do a
Yeah,
little
it's
bit
different
extra.
players, mix it up a little bit, right?
So yeah, I got to find it because he asked
That'll be
me.
fun.
He asked me to do it Friday, and I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then he texted me today. He's like, "Can you do it Saturday instead of Friday?" I'm like, "Okay, sure." But I got to
Mm.
find out if it's the same lineup, because just in case, I like to be prepared. If there's a singer there that knows some different tunes, I want to definitely learn or brush up on them.
Yeah, before
Um,
you get there, 'cause you're a professional, Steve. You're pro.
yeah, well,
You know, try.
I try. I do what I can. Did you get to use or explore the app, the MySet thing at all?
No, I have not.
Okay. I did send you the info though, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I sent it to you when I sent you my book. So
All right, I'll take a look.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's something that's appropriate for your band anyway. If you're in a situation where you can
Maybe
take
not
requests.
yet because right now we're a kind of like a fixed set list just because of the amount of
Right.
songs that, the new guy's learning.
Right.
So, yeah, so maybe out of the 50 songs we do, maybe 30 of them are polished enough where we could, gig with them.
Right.
The other
Yeah.
20 are still in progress, so they're getting there.
Yeah. You have to get your new guy kind of acclimated and comfortable before you start doing anything
Yeah,
like
and
that
he is.
anyway.
He's good. He's like I said, he's been, in bands in the past. He's been a West Coast guy. Was in the Zeppelin tribute out there for a while.
Oh yeah. All right.
Yeah. Oh, it was funny too. So I got some a Bergen Pack like new like digital newsletter announcement that Kashmir is going to be there. I forget when, but it says with Gene Valet. So I said,
Valet. I think it's Violet.
well, whatever. I don't think I don't think
Sounds
it
like
was
he's
Gene Violet,
French.
but it's Gene Valet. Faisait Monsieur
Gilles
Desplais.
Valet.
C'était bon.
Yeah, it
Anyway,
looks like.
Gene's gonna be there, but
Yeah,
it's featuring Gene. So I
I
don't know.
haven't seen. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, so it said featuring Gene, so I wonder if Kashmir was doing stuff without him, and now he's back because he's featured.
No, I think I don't know this firsthand, but judging from social media posts I've seen, I think he changed the entire lineup of the band, and because Gene is the leader of the band,
Yes,
and he
yes, it's
always
his
has
band.
been.
Mhm.
So and it looks like that there's all different players in the band now, and maybe he's just trying to really take more ownership of it. Kashmir featuring Gene Violet, but there's the other
Mhm.
reason could be too. There's other Zeppelin tribute bands out there called Kashmir, so maybe he's trying to
Mm.
differentiate him from them, so he knows, so people know the difference. Um,
I would think he would be, rights to the name. He's been around for as Kashmir for over 20 years.
well, when I played with them back in 2005, which was 19 years ago,
Yeah.
um, there was there was at least one other Kashmir around, if not more,
Hmm.
because I don't know if I told this story before, but we did this like Hard Rock Cafe tour, whatever. We played like 8 or 9 different Hard Rock cafes, and one of them was in Chicago, and we went and played, played that gig, and it was a really nice Hard Rock. It was, a bigger stage. It was some of the Hard Rocks are small, um, but this was a nice one. And the guy um, who was running the show, running the Hard Rock, whatever, was talking to us, and he was all excited. He was very excited about the band. This is before we played. We got there, we're talking to him, getting loaded and shit. And he was very excited. He's like, "Man, I can't wait to see you guys again. When you were here last March, you were so like," and he was saying something like, I'm like, "Wait a second. We weren't here last March." So this guy was talking to us as if we were a different Kashmir. And Gene didn't say anything. Like it was this guy talking to me and Gene, and Gene didn't. I'm kind of looking at Gene like, are you gonna correct this guy? And
No,
Gene just didn't say anything. And just yeah, the whole time we were like, okay, it was like this guy thought we were somebody else, some other band. So
that's cool.
I got a bottle opener from there. I have it somewhere because I was like, we
A
were drinking
and
some
how and
beer.
how and how was the gig?
You know what? I barely remember it.
Woo, must've been good.
I remember I got a bottle opener from there because we had some bottles open, and the guy gave me one like that was one of the ones you sell in the Hard Rock store.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, "Can I keep this?" And he's like, yeah, I guess you can keep it."
I'm Joe, owner.
Joe owner. But I barely remember it because that trip we did 3 nights in a row. I've probably told you this before, but we played Niagara Falls on the US side one night, and then as soon as we were done, we packed up and started driving for Minneapolis, um,
Okay.
Minnesota,
Mhm.
which was
That's a pretty good distance away.
It was a long drive. We had to go through Canada and blah blah blah, and then get back in the states, and And I mean, we got to Minneapolis maybe 2 hours before showtime. Went and loaded up, went to the hotel, took a shower, went and played the gig, and then from there went to Chicago. And I don't remember if we slept over at Minneapolis or not. I don't. We had a hotel room, so we must have. But then, yeah, Chicago was the next night, so it was a lot of driving and just a blur of shows. I don't remember, but there was nothing of the hard rock shows. None of them were like jam packed, like Kashmir fans or Zeppelin fans. It wasn't. I don't know. People don't go to hard rock. It depends on the hard rock, I guess. Some of them are just like we
I'm
went
sure I'm
played.
sure some were more packed than others.
We played in Pittsburgh, one there, and it was a very small stage, small room, and like practically nobody.
Hmm.
So yeah, so promoters didn't do a great job with our tour.
I guess not, or they thought you were somebody else.
Yeah,
So you're like, "Oh, we saw those guys last time. We don't wanna see them again." And then they're like, "No, it's the different," and like, "Oh, no."
yeah, good times. I forgot to break for the commercial. It's all right.
We
I
could break
probably
anytime we want, Steve. It's our show.
I know. That's okay. I'll just stick it in. I probably already stuck it in wherever you guys. If you're listening on the audio podcast, you probably already heard it. So thank you. People do listen to the audio podcast, and I don't get feedback from anybody really, barely ever, except when people ask to join the group on Facebook, the Cover Band Central Facebook group.
Yeah.
Sometimes, because one of the questions you have to answer questions when you ask to join, and one of the questions I ask is, where on Facebook did you hear about this group? And occasionally somebody will say, I heard about it on the podcast. So
So let's do a shameless plug for the group, Steve. I mean, might as
I
well.
think I think I just did.
Okay.
There's a Cover Band Central Facebook group and a Cover Band Central Facebook page and a YouTube channel. Subscribe to the channel. That's where I'm posting the videos, by the way. If you listen on the audio podcast nowadays, since we're not doing the live streaming, I'm posting the video podcast on our YouTube channel. It's Cover Band Central on YouTube. And then I'll share it to various other places from there.
Mm.
And I started making reels too. And did I talk to you about this last week? Yeah. I had to because we do this, it's side by side interview style,
Yep.
on the video, and that's what a lot of people do, and it's set up for in horizontal or landscape mode, um, whereas reels or TikTok videos or shorts or whatever you want to call them are vertical and designed for your phone. So in order to
So
put
con so
this,
wait, so it's kinda like when you go to the content and you say, "Hey, let's look at what's going on in the group," and you stack us in StreamYard, then we're vertical.
no, what?
If you said to me right now, "Hey, let's go in the group and look at what people are talking about," it
Right.
would take our side by side, and it would put us one over
No,
the other.
no, would not do that. No,
Sure it would.
no, no.
Try it.
Good. Try what?
If you said, "Let's go to the group right now." Like,
Okay.
if you bring up a screen, I'm pretty sure it stacks us.
Yeah, but that's not all right. I see what you're saying. So
Yeah,
if I,
you're talking about portrait versus landscape view. I'm saying that, it is that what you're talking about? It would stack us on top of each other instead of having us side by side?
yeah, in order to have it as a reel, like if I was to do just the video as it is right now as a reel, there would be a blank space on top of it and a blank space below it. So it
Yes,
looks so
correct.
because it's a horizontal or landscape.
Yes,
But what
Steve,
I
I understand that, Steve. Yes.
okay, but what I want to do is make reels where it's portrait, where we're on top, like I'm on top and you're on the bottom, and it fills the entire screen. There's no blank space. You know what I'm saying?
Excellent idea,
Yeah,
yes, I
yeah.
understand.
So in order to do that, well, for one, we record this. I record our videos and audio separately, which now in StreamYard it's the default. I used to have to set it up, but now it's just the default. So I have the separate recordings, but what I figured out how to do it. what I'm getting to. But it took me a long time, and I worked on it last week. It took me about 4 or 5 hours to figure out how to do this, and I hit obstacle after obstacle, and like, but I was so determined. And I like, there's got to be a way to do this, and I figured it out. But it took me like 4 or 5 hours to figure out how to do it.
5 hours is a mere splash of in the bucket of time, Steve.
That
Come
is
on.
true. That is true. And so
But the knowledge and insight that you've gained through that experience.
yes. So if you're watching these videos or you're listening to the podcast, you will be seeing shorts or reels of Tony and I doing our little podcast, but just snippets of it. And but it'll look good. It's going to look good on the in the reels and the
It's gonna look good.
Oh yeah, well you always look good, Tony.
No, I said it's gonna look good.
Yes, I know.
On the reels, Steve, as opposed to the
Yes.
fakes.
Yes, right.
It's very exciting. So when are we gonna be unveiling the new and improved portrait style reels? With the smart
As soon
reels.
as I can get them done, which is I have a heavy workload, so it's part of it.
That's why I
Part of my
asked,
mission.
because I know you're a very busy guy.
Yes,
These things take time.
yes, it's part of my mission.
4 hours
So
here, 5 hours there. Before you know it, 50 hours gone by.
right, so soon, but be on the lookout for that too. And yeah, we can wrap this up. But coverbandcentral.com is where you can find all the stuff that is related to
Stuff for
stuff.
Cover Band Central.
Yes.
What kind of stuff we talking about, Steve?
We're talking links to videos, or links to all the socials. We have tons of articles in there that I have written, mostly me. There's
Cover Band
know.
Central hair product line coming out soon.
working on that. There's a meme gallery for all the memes that we've created, and many of them anyway, and then we shared. I don't know what else is on there. Just
Toothpaste.
no toothpaste yet, but we'll see what we can do. But check that out, coverbandcentral.com. Anybody that's listening, and thank you guys for listening and watching, and spread the word, and keep playing and have fun, and we'll see you next.